Hey Janelle, how are you?
I'm good, Tabby. How about you?
Good. Welcome back to Advocacy That. It's so good to see you again.
You as well,
And
always. I
look, we're twinning today.
know. Love it.
So
Spring.
fun. Not only do we think alike, we dress alike.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk to you today about prior written notice. I know a prior written notice document is one of your favorite advocacy tools. And so, you know, personally, I have just recently, so my oldest daughter, who is deaf, is 19, so she's graduated. We're done with that IEP process, but I work with families all the time. And personally, now I have one of my younger children is going through the evaluation process. Like we're in the very initial stages of this, and I just got a prior written notice from my district. And listen, I advocate with and for families all the time, right? But I got this prior written notice and I was second guessing it myself. Like, is this enough? Like, should there be more? So why don't you just kind of tell us what you think about prior written notice? And I'm going to just give you the floor for like free flow today for 3 minutes to talk about that. What do you think?
I think that's great, but
Okay.
sure I could talk over 3 minutes, so you have to hold me to that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to set the timer and you ready? Go.
All right. As Tabby said, prior written notice is a document that is one of my favorites. I think it's a great advocacy tool that can support parents and the school districts, and really just puts things in writing when there's changes to be made on the IEP. So um, it can be used by the school, like Abby said, to propose a change for any type of identification, if there's an evaluation they want to do, for educational placement, if that's going to be changed, and also for any um, items. Okay, so if we think that things are not meeting FAPE, then you can use prior written notice. So this is basically a document, and there's some change going on here. Somebody's proposing it, and you want the other side to look at it and hopefully agree with it, right? And it is a legal document, and it's not used, I think, enough, because it really helps IEP teams stay on task, stay to the course, and to really have things written down. Parents can request prior written notice anytime they do not agree with those four things that I just mentioned. And when you request prior written notice, or or the school gives one to you, there's things that need to be on that prior written notice. And what needs to be is a clear identification of what's being asked for, and then the data to support that. And this is where I think Tabby was kind of like concerned, like, is there enough data here? And you have to think of whether it's worth fighting for that or not. And in this case, it seems like they were doing what she wanted to do. So she's like, okay. But, and that's kind of like a personal thing you have to think about. Sometimes you have to put in priority what to fight for. Oh, 1 minute.
1 minute,
Oh,
one
I'm doing
minute.
good. I'm doing good though. But the data needs to back up what they're asking for or what they want to change. And I think that that's the part that oftentimes is left out. And I think as a parent, you have every right to ask that gets put into the prior written notice. And I've had, some school districts will say, well, it's in the IEP already. And I said, well, if that's the data you're referring to, then it needs to be listed in the prior written notice so that the reader, understands that, and that you have record of that. So, they can use data that's in the IEP that was presented before, but making sure it's identified there, or if there's any other data that they're using. But I think that's the most important part, that you have the data in there. Oh, I did it! Yay! But it's a great document. Look it up. We'll have a link to one on
Great.
this video. So
Yes. Yes. Great job, Janelle. Thank you for that. I do. Yes, I love prior written notice as well. And I think one of my favorite questions to ask in an IEP meeting, either as a parent or as an advocate. So I often, parents, when I work with parents, I encourage you to ask this question, but sometimes emotions are high, right? And we forget things. So sometimes as an advocate, I will pose this question and say, um, who will write the prior written notice? When can parents expect that? Or, a simple, well, can you be sure that's included on the prior written notice? And to me, what that does, well, it does a couple things. Number one, it wraps up the IEP meeting and the summary, right? And number two, and I don't want to say it's a passive aggressive what comment, because it's not really meant to be that, but it's a way that I think when parents use that phrase, prior written notice, um, the IEP team understands that the parent understands their rights as well, and that the parent is looking for documentation. And so I think it's a nice way to say, to advocate without coming in really strong armed and like throwing books on the table, right? Like, um, so I think it's a great tool for documentation, and it levels the playing field. So
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
love that. No, thank you so much for your insight on prior written notice.
All right, I love it. And it seems like you like that document as well, Tiffany.
I do. I do.
So,
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we will look forward to seeing you soon. We'll be back next week
all
for
right.
more Advocacy That.
Okay, great. Bye.
Bye.